Hey everyone, I'm Jason Khalipa, a CrossFit Games champion and founder of NCFIT, and welcome to my episode of the CrossFit Collective podcast.
The CrossFit Collective.
Making your bed will also reinforce the fact that the little things in life matter.
If you're going to get a new result, you're going to have to get new action.
You got to get out there and be like, oh, this hurts. This hurts real fucking bad. I'm saying start to learn the mind is powerful. It's powerful, man.
2, 1, go.
All right, everybody. We are live with Jason.
That was intense, bro. That was intense.
That was different, right? I love that. I love how we can even, this software does it all. You got to get on this thing, dude. It's awesome.
Dude, I'm telling you, man. You're like, oh yeah, count to 10. And it comes up on the screen. It says live. And I'm like, all right, let's try.
Yeah, great. Man. So how's your day going, man?
Good. Yeah, we did some filming stuff this morning. Just got some calls set up and some filming and just, world of pivots, with the business and everything we have going on.
Yeah. So it looks like you've been doing a lot of online content kind of before all this, right? I mean, I'm guessing it took off a lot more now, but.
Filming sounds pretty elaborate. You said 5 cameras.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So we, our business used to had 3 verticals, right? In gym, corporate wellness, and then digital. And we had really been focused on the digital for the gym owner. And now we just shifted that to the end consumer and the gym owner. And so we've been spending a lot of time curating content for that. But we already had the team built up for it. So it's a lot easier for us.
Yeah, I was going to say, having the team definitely helps out. I'm sure as an individual business owner, it's a lot harder to kind of handle. But you've been doing a lot of PE stuff with kids now, right?
Oh, I just did that for a little bit with my son, just for the hell of it. But I'm gonna do another one. Yeah, that's more of just something that my son and I like to do together. And so we're going to do another episode soon. But we've been doing a lot of live follow-along workouts on YouTube. And then we've been curating a ton of follow-along content with dumbbell workouts that'll be on our app and all that kind of stuff. So we have a whole digital platform that we're really looking to optimize and just put out a great product.
That's great. How long have you been doing the app?
Years. I mean, we've had an app for probably 4 years, and we used to just do it for business to business. So, a big vertical of our business is we sell our plans, our session plans, our daily videos that we use for our coaches all around the world. We sell those to other gym owners. And so we have a lot of gyms that use that. And that's been a great, great business for us. But now we're saying, hey, we already have all this built-in structure. We have this new program that's really designed for someone at home with dumbbells. And we believe it's, curated based on all of our experience. And now let's go after the end consumer. So it's just similar product, different audience.
Cool. And you've been having a lot of success with it?
Yeah, it's been going well. I mean, I think that we're learning a lot over the last couple of months about how to put out a product that we think is up to our standard. And so we finally now have gotten to a place where these, curated workouts are pretty legit with music and audio and everything's, pretty good.
Yeah. So it sounds like you have a lot going on in the back end too, right?
Yeah, we need to, post-production, but mainly it's during production to be able to switch between different cameras, so you have different angles, and then to be able to use a mic and separate music and mic boxes so we can go ahead and adjust the levels real time has been what we've gotten to.
That's great. So during it, are you producing, are you directing, are you calling those shots, or are you kind of letting your people do all that stuff?
So we have right now, because every day we put out a follow-along what's called NCGO workout every day. And every day we put it out, it's an hour long, basically, of someone working out with you, but it's exhausting. And so you can only film so many. So I'll film one, then someone else will film one. We have a variety of coaches that come in and film. And then in addition to that, we curate a ton of content for gym owners, that session plans and programming, but this is just for our end consumer. So I'll do 1 or 2, and then I'll just observe. And we have other people that are, kind of switching back and forth on the camera and stuff.
Do you find that now with all this virtual kind of online stuff that it's actually more time and more effort than before?
Well, in the beginning when all this happened, I mean, I was working more than I think I've ever worked in my life because we had to shut down 20 of our locations. And so that's a big deal. And there's a lot of risk and a lot of things at stake. And so I worked a lot. once we created our phase 1 and phase 2 approach, now we're going to be heading into our phase 3 in the next month or two. We're kind of like not in a holding pattern, but things have calmed down a little bit for sure. But it's still a lot of work.
Yeah. That's what I was trying to tell like some other business owners. I'm like, it seems to me, and I'm sure you can kind of add to it, but like if this is going to be something that people are going to have to start to build into their business model.
Oh yeah. I mean, and they got to be careful about it, right? Every owner needs to, do some deep soul searching and recognize where are we today? Where do we want to go? And what does that mean? And just because digital might work for some people, it's not going to work for everybody. And brick and mortar doesn't work for some people. It's not going to work for everybody. But if you're a square peg and you try and put yourself in a round hole, you're going to be screwed, where you've been a brick and mortar operator for a decade. And now all of a sudden you want to just 100% pivot to digital. It's not that easy. It's not. I mean, it's just like doing a podcast or anything. It seems simple, but once you actually look at it, it's hard. The barrier to entry is kind of low, but to actually be really excellent at it, it takes a lot of hard work, dedication, and consistency for a very long time. And I hope that owners realize that.
Yeah. Do you feel like, so like actually something that we just had a conversation with the other day, like at a certain point, you kind of just have to like dive in and get into it, right? Like instead of like looking at perfection, like you kind of said, like you started at one point and then you're kind of like learning and adapting along the way. And I feel like your entire mentality around AMRAP mentality, it kind of like bleeds together, where it's like you don't have to perfect everything up front, but like just get out a product that you're happy with, and then you kind of grow from there.
Yeah, and the challenge you're going to run into is that it's never going to be perfect. And then you need people on your team that are both mindsets. So my mindset is like, let's go, innovate, always be innovating every single day, never get complacent, never be comfortable. The challenge with that is that if you're always searching for the next thing, you never hone in on something and really try and embrace it, market it, structure it, whatever, and it'll never be perfect. And so you need both people on your team. You need someone who wants it to be like perfect and slow, and you want someone else to be moving forward, and you want to find those middle grounds. Because the problem is if you're an owner out there and you don't do anything, you're going to get left behind. But if you do too much, too often, you're also going to get left behind. And so you need to kind of find this middle ground of where are we going to win? And what I always ask myself is, at NCFIT, or for me personally, what am I uniquely good at? What is our business uniquely good at? How are we going to win? What are we going to do to put ourselves in a position where you guys can't, like, no one can mess with us? Like, we're the best at this. And whatever we're not the best at, or we don't have the team for, we shouldn't really be pursuing as much.
So if you're looking for growth, would you say that if you see yourself as the fine tuner, then maybe you need that person who's going to be the innovator, who's going to be, or if you're the other person, if you're the innovator, you need that other person who's going to like, kind of like dot the T's and cross, for you to kind of like clean it up a bit.
Yeah, you need a balance. You need a team around you. And if you don't have a team, that's fine. But you need to identify, what are you uniquely good at? Where should I put my energy at? And, focus, execute on it, and then move on to the next thing. But, one of the areas that I've had troubles with in my career is I would come up with a concept, embrace it, go at it, and then on to the next thing, and never really just honed in and really focused on something for long enough to see it through. And that's what we did really well with the NCFIT Collective, which is our session plans and programming for gym owners. We really just honed in on a great product, and we're consistent with our messaging for a long time. Same thing with our gyms, but now we need to do that for our digital products as well.
Do you feel like the future of digital is definitely that pre-recorded? Because I know that like for our studio, we've been doing a lot of pre-recording, and I think that it's a lot of like groundwork work, but I think in the long run, it's going to be more beneficial than continuously doing live classes.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of both. I think for us, it's pre-recorded, high quality, legit, and then it's also the live classes to have that personal engagement. But maybe people will allow you not to have the best quality, right? Because there's some issues that come up with these live classes, but I still think they're good in community engagers. So what we're doing right now is we're using our private Facebook group as a way to engage and whatnot on live workouts and whatever. And then we're using as the cornerstone of what people are actually paying for all this other stuff. So this is all the stuff you're paying for. Yeah. This is our community builder and value add, not vice versa. If you're a gym owner that is doing Zoom calls and you're cutting out every 5 minutes, you probably can't. People are probably going to pay $200 a month for that.
Right. So both allow each other to live in a way that you can grow with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's important too, because like even me just as like an everyday gym goer, like I miss being in a class with 20 people, hearing my coach call my name. And I feel like with your content, I was just looking at some of the videos you put out, it is very high quality. And I feel like it's an important kind of balance to be able to like provide that one-on-one kind of experience that you get in a gym online. And I think you could do that. Like, it seems like you're doing it very successful. And it's tricky for me because I definitely lack motivation to work out at home without being in a gym.
Yeah. I mean, I think if you go on my YouTube and you watch, I've put up 6 follow along videos so far. And if you watch the first one to the 6th one and you watch the video quality and you look at the audio, you'll see how we're trying to progress. And through that process, we've had some issues and some stuff. And like, for example, I did a live one yesterday that was good, but the audio and the video weren't in sync. And so I deleted it and we reshared a new one. And so there's always this concept of innovation, but it's within the same lane, meaning we know we want to do follow along workouts for people at home, utilizing dumbbells, and we believe we have the best program for that. That's a fact. How do we deliver the best product for them? That's something we can innovate on. But I don't think we could just keep changing what our business to consumer model is, because we keep changing it, that we're never consistent with our messaging.
Yeah, kind of like to piggyback off that. So as far as like this MRAP mentality goes, like with everything that's going on in the world, it seems like you're very good at being able to adapt on the fly and like not let the fear drive you into kind of like a corner. And you kind of like, I feel like you're able to like get out ahead and tackle a problem when I feel like there's a lot of people out there that are afraid right now, whether it's for their business or, the change in life and everything like that. So like, is there some things that you can kind of share that may help people maybe alleviate some fear from their life right now?
Well, I mean, look, the reality is that this situation is affecting everybody in a variety of different ways, from homeschooling your kids to freaking out if you're going outside. There's so many deep factors. I think the first step is to recognize this is a challenging situation. It's going to be challenging for everybody, and that's okay, right? But like, to act like it's not challenging, I think is misleading, because it's challenging for everybody. No matter how strong a relationship is, no matter how financially secure you are, there's so many unknowns that it's going to cause some anxiety, and that's okay. With that, then you piggyback that with understanding what's in your control and how do you optimize that, because the things that are outside your control you just can't worry about. And then kind of shining light on the things that are positive, like recognize you get to spend more time with your family, or maybe you're saving money because you're not going out as much. Or there are some positives if you really hone in on them. But if you focus on the negative, like, oh, I can't travel, I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't do this, it's just not a good way to live your life. The fact of the matter is, it is what it is, right? And we're going to get through this, and there's going to be great opportunity. But I think the only fact of the matter is you can only focus on what you have in control, and then kind of look at the day in a more positive light. And I think those things will help people a lot. Yeah.
Actually, it's funny that you said that, because I did definitely find myself enjoying some downtime more now that I am stuck inside. And I feel like, before all this, I was like running and gunning all day, like doing video content, doing podcasts. I work a day job, so I'm doing that. And like, I was able to take a step back and be like, wow, like, I think a lot of people don't look at downtime as important as it is.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, downtime or just time to reflect and analyze. How are you doing? Are you on the path that you're looking for? And then seeing the opportunity in the chaos, I think, is really important from like a business and financial perspective, is recognizing this type of chaos will probably never happen again in our lifetime, hypothetically. Right. Hopefully not. Yeah. Right. And with that chaos comes opportunity. And what are those opportunities? Some people identify them, some people won't. Some people will, focus on the negative and end up shrinking. Some people will focus on some beneficial things and end up thriving.
Is there something that you've learned about yourself, or like being able to kind of like reflect that you maybe haven't learned before all this?
Well, I mean, for me, I've had some really unique life experiences at a relatively young age. So this is just another hurdle to overcome. I've had to overcome a lot of hurdles in competition, obviously competing professionally in CrossFit, learning how to deal with that. And then, when our daughter was diagnosed with leukemia, I mean, that's a hurdle that is significantly larger than anything I'm dealing with here, Yeah. Now, granted, this is affecting the entire world, and it was so far out of our control, but it had very similar characteristics to your daughter getting sick, in the sense that it's out of your control. How are you going to overcome it? But that was such a more extreme case because, yeah. So I guess what I'm trying to say is the lessons I've learned up until this point are helping me overcome this situation. The only challenge with this is, we have a lot of people that work for the company, and trying to do right by them is a stressful thing.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
Jason, have you always had this kind of mentality of like the desire to overcome, or like have you been put in situations that kind of like evolved that when you were younger?
Well, I mean, I think through, so, looking back on it, I started selling gym memberships at a really young age. You learn to overcome objections. You learn how to speak to people. That's one thing. I also raced BMX bikes for a lot of years. And when you race BMX bikes, you're up on a gate. You have to learn how to overcome those fears. You and 7 other guys are going to pedal as hard as you can in the first corner. And you gotta go all in. If you don't go all in, you're going to just get crashed on. And those were things you learn at a young age. I didn't really realize until later on. And then you bridge that with competing professionally and compartmentalizing how to compete, how to overcome adversity in the garage, in the gym, in the competition floor. And those things carry over into real life really, really well. So I'm grateful for fitness because I think that's the biggest factor.
You feel like fitness really helped you develop that mindset of being able to overcome like adversity?
100%. 100%.
Yeah. How long into like competing in CrossFit were you able to kind of like really feel more comfortable on a competition floor? Like how many years did it take you?
I mean, you competed in the gym so much back in the day that you learned to control your nerves there. Every competition came with its own set of challenges. But I mean, it took me a couple of years, right? I mean, because you only get exposure to these big events a couple times a year, tops. As I got more seasoned, like 2012, 13, 14, I'd be competing almost year round in a bunch of different events. You become, anything you get more exposure to, you become better at.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about like this whole AMRAP mentality. I mean, me and Roy are pretty familiar with you, but for anyone that's listening in, like what exactly is the AMRAP mentality? Like how did you develop it, and where is it at right now?
So the AMRAP mentality is a mindset that, man, I developed it a lot of years ago, like, I don't know, let's see, like 2011, 12. I was trying to balance competing professionally in sport of CrossFit. We were opening up locations globally, and then trying to balance being a husband, a father, etc. And so it was probably 2012 because my daughter was born 2011. And at that point, I started asking myself, how am I going to balance these different things and also be successful at them? And really the AMRAP mentality, I would get the most work done in less time, meaning when I AMRAPed like as many reps as I can of burpees in 5 minutes, that's all I was focused on. I wasn't focused on anything else. And I think that presence, that focus carried over really well in my workouts. So I started saying, how do I carry that same mindset into everything else I'm doing? And so I started creating this idea of AMRAPing each thing. Like right now, I'm AMRAPing with you guys. You don't see me on my phone. You don't see me doing anything. I'm just here with you talking. And then after this, I'm going to go jump on another call. And then after that, I'm going to go on a bike ride with my son. And those are the different focuses. And so what I do is identify what I'm going to focus on. I switch gears throughout the day and I AMRAP each focus. And it's been really successful as a part of my life to not be 1 foot in, 1 foot out, but just to be all in all the time.
So instead of multitasking, you just do one thing all in and then you switch gears.
Because the problem was when I tried to multitask, I would end up asking myself, like, could I have done better? Like, I'll give you an example. How many times you've been on the phone with someone or even this, right? And you find yourself checking out and an hour later, whatever the phone call is over, whatever. And you ask yourself like, man, did I really ask the right questions? Did I really, you start like second guessing yourself. And I was tired of that because I would be on calls with Asia 3 to 4 days a week, opening up new locations there with corporate wellness. And at the same time, I'd be doing assault bike intervals. And one time I was doing an assault bike interval and I got done with the phone. They'd be like, hey, Jason, what do you think about that? And I'd unmute them. I'd be like, hey, that's a great idea. Remute, right? And I just remember saying to myself, I got the phone. I was like, dude, what the hell am I doing? Like, I'm not doing justice to my job. I'm not doing justice to my training. Either train or work, right? I mean, if you're going to listen to a podcast and work out, that's different. But if you're responsible for sharing something, I think it's really important that you pay attention so you never have those second guesses.
So really the idea of the AMRAP mentality is about being present.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, and the reality is, I mean, it really stems from working out. I mean, how many times you worked out and you'll see people just do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. It's like, well, dude, either get in, get your ass kicked and leave, or go do something else. But when you're in the gym, you shouldn't be like, on the phone for an hour and then do a few reps. It's like either do your reps and then leave, or not. Like, you choose. You know, it's like you show up at a restaurant. I mean, not right now, but back in the day, back in my day, you show up to a restaurant and half the people are on their phone. Well, it's like, dude, either be on your phone, go take care of whatever you got to take care of, no problem, I'm not judging you, or be there with that person in front of you. That's your choice, but choose what you want to do.
Yeah, I'm kind of reflecting on that. Like, I remember, I mean, going back, like, I can see myself in the gym working out, but actually I'm thinking about what I have to do afterwards. And like, that's like now hearing you talk about that, like, I've done it multiple times, and I'm sure a lot of people have.
And it's okay. That's the thing. Like, I'm not judging you. You're not judging me. We're just trying to thrive together, right? Like, if you find yourself unfocused and you mess up, that's fine, right? Like, I was having these calls, and my son really wanted to go biking. I kept telling him, dude, I can't go with you because I have to finish this before I do this. He's like, don't worry about it. I'll just go with you. I don't mind if you're on the phone. And so I did what I shouldn't have. I'm on the phone trying to bike with him, and it's like, dude, I just feel like an asshole. I was like, you know what? I was like, Caden, stop. That's my son's name. I was like, give me 3 minutes. I'm gonna get off the phone, and then we're gonna go do our thing together. But it's just sometimes it's really easy to try and multitask, and every time that I do, I feel like I'm letting something else slip.
It does seem very like goal driven. I feel like for every task you have the goal to be the best version of yourself while you're doing it. So you have to be present. So you can't really be multitasking.
That's it. I mean, and the idea of multitasking, like, if you're answering emails, I mean, it's just difficult, right? Like, right now, if I'm on the phone with you guys or podcast, whatever, and then I'm sitting here, right? Not only am I going to do a crappy job on whoever I'm texting or whatever it is, right? So I'm reading this, but also, like, you guys are looking at me like, dude, what the hell is this guy doing, right? Yeah. Like I shouldn't have even committed to this if I wasn't committed to it. It's kind of like the theory. And
people register that. Like, I feel like when you're not being present, I find it as rude. But I'm like, why am I finding it rude? I'm like, what I'm really craving is for that person to be present with me, like connection, like true connection.
Yeah, I mean, you sit at a restaurant, you see like 10, like everyone on their phone while you're trying to have a conversation. You're like, that person didn't even listen to a word I just said. Maybe like passive, like you're not really paying attention to anything that's going on.
Like,
it's a highly addictive tool, right? Mm-hmm. Get a lot of information very quickly, and the AMRAP mentality was, again, I just want to be really clear on this. Like, I don't judge anybody. I understand how difficult it is to have this piece of device. You can go anywhere in the world anytime you want on it. But I think it's important to recognize that for me, the AMRAP mentality has allowed me to foster deeper relationships, create more wealth or business because I've been focused on that particular task, improve my fitness because I've been focused on here. I guess what I'm trying to say is, if for no other reason, when you AMRAP each thing in your life, you start to create bigger hedges because you're more present and focused on those specific areas instead of just being dispersed across all of them.
Mm. So in your book, do you teach like a bunch of like little principles, or what is the book about? I mean, I know it's about the AMRAP mentality, but like, do you teach them through that whole process?
Yeah, 100%.
And like, could you share maybe like one or two of those principles with us?
Well, I mean, it's as simple as like, almost like riding a bike, right? You identify your focus, because if you're not focused, you're going to tip over. You then work really hard at that focus, which is pedaling the bike, right? You got to work hard in that focus. Then, just like riding a bike, you switch gears depending on what you're doing in that day, right? And then every now and then you reevaluate what those original focuses were. So for example, let's just say one of you guys gets married. Well, maybe your focuses shift. Before, you used to spend 5 hours a day playing, video games. Well, once you get married, you recognize your priorities need to shift, or you have a kid, you need to shift it. And so you identify 3 different focuses, like your family, your business, your fitness, are examples of mine. But some people have, business, golf, and whatever. Right. And then you prioritize it throughout the day based on what your goals are and what your focuses are. And then you switch gears throughout each one, but then you have to reevaluate on a reoccurring basis. And those could be micro reevaluations, or they could be big picture reevaluations on an annual basis.
So how often do you reevaluate your goals? Do you do like weekly goal sessions, or?
Well, I mean, I try and reevaluate on a regular basis, like how am I doing as a husband, father, fitness, like small micro check-ins, so that this way I don't wake up, a year from now and say, damn, I've been a really shitty dad, right? Those are like little micro check-ins. But then big picture check-ins, like, okay, an example is like a priority in my life used to be competing in CrossFit, right? That was a big focus. Well, after our daughter got sick, I removed that as a focus. That was an example of a reevaluation. That was a big example.
Yeah, no, that's definitely different.
Like essentially like running yourself like a business. Like every quarter you're kind of like resetting, but then if something happens that is big, sometimes you're forced to pivot. Really.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like COVID-19. Yeah, you're pivoting.
Like, how do you pivot in this moment when like things need to still move forward? You know?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, you identify the path forward. You do a deep evaluation, and you just prioritize you prioritize what your priorities are for you. I think that's really important. And everybody's different.
Yeah. I think it's like tricky because they're not tricky, but there's a lot of people that are afraid to reevaluate, or they're afraid to kind of like dive into like the problems that they've had in the past and like really figure out a way out.
But they're just so stuck on their one path that they're going.
Yeah, and they feel like they have no control over it. So I'm just wondering, like, you know, how can someone that's down that path completely just reevaluate and like regroup and try and find a new path forward?
Well, I mean, I think you got to ask yourself, you know, if you don't like your job, right? If you're unhappy in your marriage, you're unhappy in your job, you're unhappy in general, right? Long term, that's not a good way to live. And so evaluating, okay, what is the path forward? How do I mend my relationships? How do I you identify the goals. It's not, and just knowing it's not going to happen overnight, right? Just like if you don't like your job, you shouldn't just necessarily quit tomorrow. You should say, hey, what do I actually have an interest in? How do I become really talented at that particular field so that when I am ready, I could shift from my current job to this new position that I actually have credibility in. It's not just I like it, but I'm actually qualified in it. You know, it's one thing for me to love coffee. It's another thing for me to be talented enough to go get a job in that field. And so I think that just everybody needs to evaluate where am I trying to go? What's going to make me happy? And then how do I do that in a very like conservative, smooth way, and don't just like fly off the rocker overnight.
Right. I think that's very similar to training too, you know, especially with the sport of CrossFit. Oh, yeah. You have like all these different avenues, like, you know, gymnastics, you have endurance, you have strength. Did you use that same mindset during that time too? Yeah,
it's the same thing. And then also, you know, you look at your life and you say, okay, I have gymnastics, weightlifting, cardio. Well, where are my strengths? Where are my weaknesses? And then how do I enhance all of them above? So maybe you look at your life and you say, man, I'm crushing at my job, but my family isn't as well and my fitness isn't as well. Well, how do I balance all those out and then reprioritize what's important for me? And I think just looking at it objectively and just saying, hey, well, I've been really, really focused on growing the business, which has been great, but now I need to kind of bring my other pillars up and then creating a plan towards it. And it's not going to happen overnight, man. And I think that's the big takeaway is like people stress too much about all these things that ultimately they want instant gratification, including myself, and especially in business. But as long as we're moving, like better is better, like especially in fitness, like if people haven't worked out for a long time and they go for a 10-minute walk, like, dude, that's awesome. And they don't need to go full keto and start doing deadlifts tomorrow. Like, just take your time.
Yeah. I mean, that's our motto too. It's we call it better every day, where essentially you just every day you're doing something that's helping you be better than yesterday. And like, it's not the end goal, right? Like, I mean, you're very familiar with it, but like there is no end goal. It's like life is just a journey, and like you have to take it day by day. And the people that stress about where they're supposed to be, or they feel like they're supposed to have a job, or they're getting out of college, or they're doing this and they should be doing that. I feel like if everyone just heard that message of just like taking a breath, taking it day by day, you'd have a lot less anxiety in the world.
Yeah. I mean, Gary Vee said it the best. I think I saw something he put up, like people overestimate what they could, or someone else said this, people overestimate what they could do in a day and underestimate what they could do in a decade, or maybe there's someone else who said that. But I think if you just, you know, consistency matters, and especially when it comes to your fitness, and that also plays into work. You know, the people that thrive in our organization are the people that are very consistent. They don't have, you know, huge highs and huge lows, but it's consistently putting in the dues every day for an extended period of time. And especially if it's something that you're uniquely good at or that you love, you're going to see incredible success.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like the question you were connecting it back to like making sure that it's what makes you happy. Because I feel like so many people are like, well, I'm good at this, but like, all right, but does it fulfill you? Or like, or I'm crushing it at work right now, but like, are you happy? Like, or like, you know, I'm killing it. I'm competing. I'm like, but I feel like shit. My adrenals will suck. Like I'm eating like crap. I have no connection to my family. That like, there's so many times where people are being super successful and still feel like crap. And I think that like I mean, I've been having this conversation with a bunch of friends and my girlfriend lately, but it's like, you know, does it matter if you are not happy?
Well, I mean, and here's the thing. What, my son just walked. Come here, baby. Come see. Come here. Come say hi.
Hi.
Hey, hello. What's up, man?
Oh man.
Yeah, I'll come see you in a minute. But where I was going with this is that when it comes to the happiness thing, I think that happiness can be created in a variety of different ways. So like take, for example, with my kids as an example. Let's just say my work wasn't super, super fulfilling, but I happen to be really good at it, and I provided a good living for my family. Well, if that made me a lot of happiness because my family's taken care of and whatnot, maybe that's okay to make those sacrifices. I don't love my job. Not everybody's going to love their job all the time. And that's fine, right? And I think that people, you know, there's always gives and takes. Like, for example, if you're a yoga instructor and you love yoga, right? And you want to become a yoga instructor, that's fine, but there's gives and takes, right? Or even a CrossFit coach or whatever, is you know that if you want to pursue that lifestyle, there's probably, you're probably not going to go buy the penthouse, right? It's just, there's a give and a take there. And I think each person needs to evaluate what that is for them.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's,
if you go back to like training, I feel like, you know, you find out what your strengths are, but obviously if you want to compete, that's what's going to make you happy. You're going to have to, whatever, instead you say you're good at deadlifting, but you're going to have to run. Like you're going to have to fix that gap.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the same in any way, you know, it's like, even when you go to nutrition, you know, like people don't, I mean, obviously eating a pizza is way more flavorful and tasty, but like you have to make the sacrifice of eating a salad. You have to eat healthy to get the results you want.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's exactly it. I mean, and each person needs to prioritize what's important to them. You know, my wife, for example, for many years, you know, kind of was on her own plan. And no matter what I said, come to the gym, this, that, it wasn't what she was ready to do. And then once she made a commitment to herself, whatever that reason was, she's found her balance of exercise and eating to get to where she wants to be. But it took some sacrifices, but she was ready for that. And we can't force anybody in those decisions. They need to make that for themselves. Yeah,
absolutely. Okay. So what does your nutrition look like these days?
Well, my daughter actually right now, believe it or not, downstairs, she's making some keto cinnamon rolls. I could smell them as I'm talking to you.
I was wondering if you're still doing the keto.
Well, so I did keto. I did 100% keto for like 6 weeks because my wife wanted to do it. Since then, I've not been keto. I've been me, right? Just eating real food, whatever. But my daughter likes to bake, and so we're trying to have her bake more like lower carbish because she loves to bake, and I was eating like all kinds of really, and so you know, it's just real food. We try and eat a lot of greens, and the kids eat whatever we eat. So there's no difference, right? They're not eating. They're eating what we're eating, regardless of if they like it. Like their taste buds are developing as we're creating that for them. And you know, if there's something they really don't like, obviously we're not going to force them. But in general, they've been accustomed to a wider variety of food because that's what we eat.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I saw on your Instagram, your daughter Ava, you have like an Instagram for like a kitchen. Is she doing cooking videos and stuff?
So Ava's Kitchen is it's actually an annual fundraiser that we do for pediatric cancer. And so yes, we are just starting to create some content with her where she cooks because she likes it. But Ava's Kitchen is actually an annual fundraiser here in the Bay Area where we fundraise a ton of money to help kids fighting cancer. Oh, that's great. And so, like, what do you do for the fundraising? Do you do like workouts? Is it fitness related? No, it's a live auction. It's completely outside the scope of fitness. It's 100 of our for lack of a better term, high net worth individuals who come and bid very heavily on live auction items. Oh, cool.
That's awesome, man.
I just hold on. Let me. I have something here. Hold on. Where did it go?
Where's it going on?
Oh, what's that? Hey, by the way, I just heard the smoke detector say, "Heads up, heads up." There's smoke in the kitchen. I don't know if you guys heard that, but if those cinnamon rolls might be catching on fire.
That's funny.
So I want to just ask a question, then we're going to get into a little like segment that we have called Truth or No, where we just kind of ask you a few questions of like random things on the internet. But like, what's like one of your favorite moments competing at the games? Do you have one that you can kind of think of? I mean, obviously, I had a really good year in 2013
where I won a bunch of events, and a lot of them I won with a lot of time left on the clock, so I was able to enjoy it. Like this Burden Run and this other marathon row, like I knew I was going to win long before I actually won. So those are really cool moments. But probably in 2014, I got to stand on the podium with both my kids, which was really cool. That was a good accomplishment, just to kind of balance that fatherhood with training hard. It was great.
Mm. And so, like, when you're out on the floor, do you pretty much, like, what do you focus on? Is it, like, you're focusing on your family? Like, what drives you to kind of like push yourself past those moments where like you feel like giving up?
Well, I mean, it's the same thing in business, just trying to reach my potential. You know, I think that, you know, one of the reasons why I try and, you know, grind at work is not because I'm trying to, for no other reason, I just want to see us reach our potential. I think that's really important for people. And it's a great driver. I don't want to wake up 20 years from now and wonder, you know, could I have been better at this? And that's what really drove me on the competition floor as well.
Cool, man. Awesome. All right. Well, so we're going to do a little segment now. So Roy is basically going to ask a question. We call it Truth or Nah. And basically it's just like random things that we found on the internet that might not be true. And we just want your opinion on them.
Deal.
Cool.
All right. Truth or Nah. First one. CrossFit makes girls bulky.
Nah.
Nah. Well, how come?
Because there's millions and millions of women that do CrossFit and they look amazing. And then there's some women that choose to eat a certain way, train a certain way to get larger with intention. I think you have to intentionally try, or you're more genetically shared that way to get big and bulky. I think for the most part, you look lean, fit, and healthy.
Yeah, I think most of it comes down to like nutrition, right? Like if you eat a lot, that's when you see the bigger girls.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that goes for guys too. Like if you're a guy and you intentionally want to grow, you drink a gallon of whole milk a day and you back squat really heavy and you will get giant. I mean, it's just the way it goes. So it's not the training protocol. It's the additional components.
Cool.
Cool.
All right, Roy.
Second one. Mindset always dictates your direction. I love this face.
I guess, yeah. I mean, I think the way that you approach stuff and your mindset play a huge role. You know, I talk about it all the time with my kids. If you show up to something with a negative attitude, you're going to have a negative attitude the entire time. And having a positive mindset, a growth mindset, is going to be beneficial over any other mindset. Really, I can't think of a time that going into a situation with a negative outlook is going to play better than a positive outlook. I don't see it. So, yeah.
All right, real fast before Roy goes on. Zach here has a question. Jason, does your kids share the same love and passion for CrossFit as you?
My son loves to train. Yes, my son loves to train. He's got a little twitch in him to train really hard. My daughter, not so much. She likes to dance. So we support her on that. This morning, she was doing her kids bop, watching the TV, dancing to it. And, you know, I never force the kids in that kind of stuff because I don't want them to have a negative relationship with either food nor fitness. I want it to be a healthy relationship. And finding our rule in our house is very simple. Every day, you need to sweat for 10 to 15 minutes. That's it. Like every day, you need to sweat. As long as you sweat, we're good. So if you want to sweat dancing, I don't care. Have fun.
It's actually just to piggyback off that, I think that's really important for everyone, right? It's like everyone thinks that you have to work out a certain way. And nowadays there's so many different ways to work out, whether you choose CrossFit, whether you cycle, whether you do jujitsu, you know, like I feel like people just have to take an approach of like trying different avenues to see which one they enjoy so that they'll stick with it. Because like, I feel like a lot of people drop off their goals because they just don't find something that they enjoy. Or
switch back and forth. You know, I love jujitsu. But as of recently, I haven't done jiu-jitsu because you can't. So, you know, finding what works for you, I think, is really important.
Yeah. Especially now, like Peloton, they're killing it. I mean, they must be crushing it over there.
Crushing it.
Yeah. All right, Roy.
Number 3. Keto is the best way to lose weight.
Nah. The best way to lose weight is whatever you could actually stick with. That's the best thing. And anybody who tells you any different is full of shit. It's whatever you can actually stay consistent with. That means your exercise protocol and your nutrition protocol, identifying something that is obviously more healthy than what you're currently on, and that you can actually stick with is really important. You can go full keto, full paleo, full zone. I've tried them all. But if you only do it for a week or two, it's the inconsistency that's hurting people. And so eating real food, avoiding sugar, exercising daily, sweating daily, and doing that consistently, you're going to be pretty well off.
Yeah, love that.
Yeah.
All right, Roy, one more.
Online presence is the future of successful business.
Yeah, I think that in the future, having an online presence will be important. You could have a brick and mortar business, but having an online presence as a restaurant to let them know what specials you have, or having a store, but also having e-commerce, or having a gym, but also having the availability to somehow connect with your members when they're outside the gym. I think those type of things will be important in the future. Yes.
Like a hybrid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and you already seen this. I mean, look at, Hollywood Video, right? Gone.
Right.
How many businesses have just shifted? Now, I think a good example is like a restaurant. That's a great example where the restaurants around here that shifted to having online presence and then takeout orders are still doing okay. But the people that were just so stuck in their brick and mortar had no online presence, no way to order, none of that stuff, they were left behind. Now, 90% of their revenue might still go after the future in-house, right? But still having the availability for takeout, I think, will only benefit the business.
Yeah. I saw one business around here. They're doing like this, which I thought was really cool. It's a restaurant, but instead of like, they're having these like meal kits where like it's like taco night, like Taco Tuesday, and you just come pick up all the ingredients, kind of like HelloFresh or something like that, but it's from a restaurant. And the cool thing to me, it was like you can cook that, if that's your favorite restaurant and they cook chicken marsala amazing, you can pick up all the ingredients from that location, bring it to your house, cook it, and you're still supporting that business. So I think that's really cool, something that I found from a restaurant.
Yeah, all those type of things. I think innovation is going to happen. I think it's going to be great.
Yeah.
I was just chatting with a friend of mine that owns like a cafe nearby in Montclair, and we were ordering our coffee and getting it. We had it ordered online and we picked it up, but he like closed his shop for 2 weeks. And I was like, so why didn't you stay open during the quarantine if you're still going to do this online thing or whatever? And he was like, well, I actually wanted to take the hit of 2 weeks to make sure that the ease of ordering online was so much better. He's like, honestly, I think we're doing the best out of every cafe that's in the area. So it was really interesting that he took the active choice to actually close off, make sure he kind of perfected it and created a space that was easy to order and pick up for people. And he had a whole system set up, and then all of a sudden he opened up. And the second that he opened up, everyone was so excited because he had done so much community work prior to that people were like just biting at the bit for him to open.
Yeah, the future is going to be really unique. I mean, Phil's Coffee out here in California, very popular. They have an app and they have brick and mortar stores. Before, brick and mortar stores were 90% of their revenue and 10% was on their app. Now it's 90% on the app, or basically 100% on the app. But the app was already in place. People already had it. They already had their credit card in there. It's very seamless, right? And whereas these other cafes or coffee shops didn't have that. So people have to go in, use some clunky website, put in their credit card every single time. You're not going to get the same consumer to come back and back and back. Whereas these guys were already ahead of the curve, already had the online platform, which is great. So these are the things I think businesses are going to think about in the future, having multiple different legs to their table to generate revenue as well.
Yeah. As far as content goes, like how important do you think, just to kind of go off that, how important do you think it is to share your story as a business owner? Because I feel like there's like a lot of people that are afraid to share their personal story, which I feel like, nowadays in the future, the story of you as a person is so much more important to your business as just your business name.
I mean, that's neither. It just depends who the owner is, what the story behind the business is. I think telling the story, I think people are connected to the why, the who, the background, and you got to find the right way to do that. Now, if you're not good on camera, if you can't share your story well, then you got to find other ways to do that, whether you use a cartoon, a voiceover, whatever. Who knows, right? Yeah. But I think putting yourself out there is going to be more important in the future from a digital perspective, but then also having people there to support you on that is going to be really important. If you're not good at it, you got to find people who can help support you on it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. All right, Jason, well, we're coming up on 45 minutes, so we're just going to wrap this up. A little thing that we do at the end. If you can just give everyone out there like 3 tips that you think that they can apply to their life today to help them make their life better tomorrow, what would those 3 tips be?
Start AMRAPing your workouts and everything else you do. Anything you're stressed out about, take 2 circles, put everything that's outside your control on the right, inside your control on the left, and just choose to focus on that circle. It's helped me 100 times, right? If there's something you're stressed out about, use 2 circles, pretty basic. And then, trying to focus on the positive. If you really, really search for it, there's gonna be something good. I mean, we've been, and some people could say, oh, we've been in some pretty shitty situations before. And I think even then, there's still something that you can focus on that's a little bit more positive. Because at the end of the day, it's always going to help you through your day. So give that a shot.
Awesome, man.
Hey, before we leave you, I wanted to let you know that when I started CrossFit about 10 years ago, I was like, this is not for me, man. I'm 6'2", 265 pounds. And I remember my coach pulled me over and he was like, bro, big guys can get down. And he pulled you up. And at the time, I think you were the only athlete over 200 pounds. And I was like, this
yeah.
Is, I was still much bigger than that. But I think that, I started watching a lot of your videos. I started watching a lot of your interviews and your mentality and stuff like that. And I think that, a lot of what you were doing early in the game kind of kept me in it. So just wanted to say thanks, man.
Hell yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. That means a lot. Awesome,
Jason. Hey, thanks for coming and hang out with us. Where can everyone find you? Where can they buy your products? Everything like that.
JasonKhalipa.com. You can find a bunch of stuff there. Jason Khalipa on Instagram. And you can check out our NCFIT programs. I think if you're an end user, you're looking for a follow along, you're looking for a great dumbbell workout, I think we have the best one out there. Obviously, I'm partial. And if you're a gym owner, let us know at the NCFIT Collective. And if you want to check out the book, it's called As Many Reps as Possible. You can find it on Amazon. And let me know what you think.
Awesome, man.
Great.
All right, Jason, thank you so much. It was awesome. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll be in touch.
All right, brother. Have a great one, guys.
You too, man. Take care.
Bye.
All right, Brian.